Good evening everybody then, and welcome to round 7 of the Real Sim Racing Endurance Championship. You're here live on ETV, and it's going to promise to be a fantastic broadcast. So with us today, of course, in the actual commentary booth is me, Liam Jenkins, and Mr. Sean Pavek. Just want to say thank you to the producer, John Westling, and the man on sound and co-producer, JD Webb. So it's looking like it really is going to be an exciting sort of session. We're just into qualifying now, around 5 minutes in. And it's 3-point gap then between Bedros Magardichian and Elrod in the standings. But it's looking like Jason Elrod's pace isn't what it should be today, Sean.
No, not at all. With him second in the championship and just 3 points back, like you said, I would expect him to be right at the top of the sheets. And a second and a half off, scratch that, 2 seconds off of the pole is not where he would look to be today. Absolutely. So, quick run through the standings, and it is Bedros Magardichian that leads after 6 rounds on 190 points. He's followed very closely, but 3 points behind Jason Elrod. Bill Fields, the co-organiser of the event, on 161 points. Roger Hamann, 4th on 150, and John Abbott in 5th on 136. In terms of the team standings, it's RSR Racing on the 346 who lead the charge going into the mid-season sort of race. Castrol currently 2nd on 323. LHS Motorsports on 221, the newcomers on 193, and Tabuki on 180. So it's looking like a pretty close championship in both sort of series at the moment. Obviously, you've got 18 drivers currently set a qualifying time. Magardichian leads the way by 7/10 of a second, so he's definitely looking to kind of continue that reign of dominance at the moment. Elrod currently 4th. He's going to have his work out for him if he wants to try and move up the field today. Yeah, tough to pass here at RoadAmerica. Only really 1 or 2 good passing opportunities, so even if he's got the race pace, it'll be a long charge up for him.
Absolutely. Elrod on track at the moment. The number 70 currently sits in P4, as we've just said, just in front of Jeff Spotswood. But what is interesting to note as well, if you guys have actually seen any of the pre-event tests, if you will, is that Magardichian absolutely dominated the last event, just with no flaws at all, just a complete flawless race, and a good 2 seconds faster than any other guy near him, and he's definitely continued that today, so he's worked hard for this event, and it's beginning to show. Joshua Chin as well, kind of a surprise there, getting himself right up there in the mix. So obviously, you know, it's going to be a long 1 hour race today. How do you sort of go into an event like this, Sean? You know, how do you prepare for it? You've got to be actually on your physical peak in terms of mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to maintain concentration for the full hour, clearly, but 1 hour is really that sort of crux between a sprint race and an endurance race, so you have to have the mindset to both. You have to be decisive and aggressive if you're passing. You still have to be cautious enough that you don't put yourself out of the race early.
Absolutely. So going into the final 1 minute of qualifying, and it's the last chance saloon, if you like, for some of these drivers to try and set their best times to try and get them further up the grid. It's the guys you look at like Tom Cabral in P9, Bill Fields in P8, Roger Hamann, who's up there in the championship, and you see that Jason Elrod just blown his engine. P4 is pulling over now. That's very odd, and that's not the way he wanted to end his qualifying session. You know, he's P4 definitely, you know, on for another hot lap, and he's just blown the engine.
Just a bit too aggressive on the downshift there, I suspect, at turn 7, just going into the hurry downs.
Yeah, and if that happened during the race, that'll be absolutely catastrophic in terms of the championship chase. But now this has allowed for guys behind him, you know, Anthony Woods, Jeff Spotswood and co, to try and maybe get their way in, because it's not long left in qualifying, but still just enough time for an extra lap.
Yeah, I do believe Anthony Woods just started his last lap with a bare 5 seconds left in the session, so if he pushes on this lap, it'll count. And it is, as you said, the last gasp for Woods for this qualifying session.
Absolutely. So the question is, who's going to be the man on the pole position? Is there going to be any late surprises? But it's looking right now like it's going to be another Magardichian dominated session.
Yeah, he had a 6/10 of a second lead in practice, the same 6/10 of a second over Joshua Chin that he's had in qualifying, so we'll see if anybody has any magic left in the bag, but as you said, it certainly looks like a Magardichian session.
Absolutely. So on the track at the moment, we do have Magardichian on track. Spotswood's in the pits. Anthony Woods, P6. What could he find then in his final park? Oh, and that's not what he wants. He's into the barrier, he's spinning and pirouetting across the track, just a bit too aggressive in the late qualifying session. And that's not going to help him at all. It won't harm his time. He still sits in front of Roger Hamann, but unfortunately he won't improve. So the other man who can is Dwayne Fowler. He's currently at car number 7, so I don't think he's actually set a time yet, so he needs to try and hurry this one up. He's left it extremely late. Is he going to make an impact in the championship? It'll be the 19th man to set a time, but he's left that extremely late. Was that the right choice?
I can't think of a reason why you'd want to wait this late to set a time. We don't have the sort of temperature variations that you would have in a Formula One event or the lap limitations that you'd have. So it's really best to get out there early and often to get the lap time set. Can't really imagine why he hasn't set a lap yet.
Absolutely, it's quite puzzling as you saw Marcus Owens just cross the line unable to improve his time. Just in front of him, I beg your pardon, was John Abbott, who couldn't improve his time. He starts 13th, of course, the organiser of this event, as Dwayne Fowler goes 14th. So it was a valiant effort, but it sits him right in the bottom third of the grid. 19 drivers will grid then to do a pace up around Road America, and I tell you what, this is going to be a very intense race, to say the least. And as you said, there's not many overtaking opportunities, which leaves it down to the driver's initiative, sort of experimentation with the mind to try and maybe open up a gap which isn't normally there.
Absolutely. It might be hard to pass, but as more than one racing driver have said, you can pass anywhere if you're rude enough.
Absolutely. If there is, as quoted by the famous Ayrton Senna, if there's a gap and you don't go for it, then you're no longer a racing driver. So we'll see how that pays dividends later on. But you've got to remember as well for these guys that it is an hour-long race. You don't want to go smashing it into the first sector, just trying to gain as many positions as you can. It's not worth it. You've got another 59 minutes of racing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't win the race if you don't finish it, is the cliche, I believe, that's used stateside, and it holds true time and time again.
Absolutely. So Magardichian anyway has the best opportunity to claim a win here today and extend his championship lead over Jason Elrod. He starts on the pole with a 156.963. Joshua Chin starts P2 with a 157.902. Bruce Perry lines up in third in front of the man in second place in the championship, Jason Elrod, and Jeff Spotswood rounds out the top 5.
Anthony Woods will start 6th on a 59.676. Roger Homan starts 7th. Bill Fields is 8th. Tom Cabral is 9th. And Eric Estes is 10th.
Glenn Pedersen starts in P11. Fraser Marshall just behind in P12 in front of John Abbott. Dwayne Fowler, the late qualifier there in P14. Marcus Owens also left it a bit late in P15. And then Chris Llewellyn in P16.
Chris Beck, Peric Burrell, and Terry Denton round out your starters.
So, getting ready to roll then, all the cars on their grid, the blood pumping around their body faster than ever before, the heart's going like a trip hammer as they get ready to go 1 hour here at Road America.
Yep, the palms will be sweaty, the hearts are racing, and everybody's saying, please don't get it wrong in front of me.
This is a crucial point in the season as well, as mid-season. This will be the last opportunity, if you like, for the guys who aren't currently in the championship mix to try and just force them out there and just make a name for themselves. You know, guys like Jeff Spotswood, Roger Hamann, who aren't essentially the main title contenders, can really make an impression here today.
Yeah, they definitely could. They're just out of reach, but if they have a great event and Bedros and Jason maybe have a misstep or two, they're right back in it.
Absolutely, but we'll all have to see how it pans out then later on as we still go to line up behind the pace car then. The grid's still looking, it's quite a tight grid. You're lucky to get too wide there. You don't want to try and dive down the middle into turn 1 because it's only going to end in tears. But the question is, how many fireworks are we going to see? So the grid counter counts to 0. The pace car will gently then lead the field around Road America. It's normally a long lap anyway, so it's an extremely long pace lap. But even more time for the drivers to warm the tyres and the engines. And how important is the race start here today?
Well, with only 2 good overtaking opportunities, a good start is critical, but I'd say a bad start is critical to miss. A bad start puts way back in the field. A good start might be hard to get without being over-aggressive, but that bad start really will set you back a long ways in today's race.
Absolutely, pit stops then could also play a bit of an issue. You're going to want to maybe try and pit for tyres if they start tipping away from that break-off point. And some guys may try and take the lead a bit earlier on, some guys may leave it towards the end and just try and go all the way. But it's all going to be down to strategy this race. In these sort of, as you said, sort of mid-slash endurance and sprint races, it's really kind of critical. Do you go for that aggressive light field setup and go for a couple of pit stops, or do you just go for the long haul and try and keep it out there?
I think with the pit road speed limit you have today, I think you have to think one stop is going to be the advantage. The question is, if you're mired in traffic and you think you're faster, do you break off early to get that stop done and try to make your way past them in clean traffic or clean air?
Absolutely, so the tension builds then round Road America. The only thing that isn't really present in iRacing is the smell of the petrol fumes. Apart from that, you've got every bit of atmosphere that you would in a normal endurance event, and you can almost hear the hearts pounding in the likes of Magardichian, who's got a great view of that pace car right now, but a very scary view, if you like, of 18 drivers lined up behind him. Of course, he's line up behind him in P2 is the man who's going to be, I think, a bit of a challenge today, Joshua Chin, if he can get him into turn 1, but nonetheless a very scary sight.
Yeah, 18 very eager drivers that you have to hope will all hit their braking point properly. As we've seen one car disappear off of the grid, connection issues, it looks like 4. I'm not quite sure who that was. It was a very black Daytona prototype.
I will try and get you updated on that one, but I mean, this thing is as well, if you go into turn 1, as soon as that pace car comes in, the actual pacing of the field, of course, gets relied down to Magardichian, but the thing is, if he does get a bad start, or Joshua Chin reads when that throttle's going to be pressing, can get a bit of a head start on Magardichian. If he can get in front, just into turn 1 and just hold him up for a few laps or so, it really is going to play into the hands of Jason Elrod, who will have a bit of an opportunity to just try and get through the field a little bit and navigate his way, because if Magardichian's not able to run at his full potential, then we're going to see a big sort of compromise today, because Magardichian's time was 1 second quicker than Joshua Chin's. It was a 1:56.963, Joshua's a 1:57.902.
Schumacher-esque, really. He pulled 4 tenths out of the hat on the last lap of qualifying. But yeah, we, as commentators, I think we have to hope Joshua Chin gets up there in front of Bedros.
Absolutely, it looks like he could run away with this one. That's exactly what he's going to want to hope for. Of course, leading the championship, but it's not a slim margin. I think Jason's going to know that. He knows the pace he's got. He knows the pace that Bedros has got. You can see him. He's just, in actual qualifying times, Jason did a 1:59, so that's 3 seconds slower almost than Bedros Magardichian, so it's not where he wants to be.
No, but thankfully for Jason, I do think a second place is well within grasp for him. And second place, a lap back, pays the same as second place, a second back.
Absolutely. This probably is one of the... Oh, there's a car off there. Now that's very interesting. He's gone a bit wide. Is that Fraser Marshall? I think it might be.
I think it was the 15 of Anthony Woods.
Quickly go through the field and find out. Is there a problem there? We'll try and find out for you.
Oh, he's going again, out of the gravel pit at Canada Corner, and looking to rejoin the back of the field, I suspect.
Maybe that was planned, never know. He just didn't want to be caught up in a midfield accident. Or was there a problem? It was Anthony Woods, you're right. He wants to start, but to see what happens. Of course, Anthony Woods did qualify in P6, so that's a big drop back, but we get ready to go green then. Here we go, the pace car is in. It's all down to the man at the front of the field. Joshua Chin also gets a good start, it looks like at the moment, but it's not as good as Magardichian. He's run away with this one into turn 1. It's a drag race into the first corner. Let's see if there's going to be any overtaking manoeuvres. But Magardichian leads the field in. Joshua Chin second. Elrod still in P4 as the field just staggers into turn 1. Very clean at the moment. No risk being taken, as you'd expect. And that's exactly a dream start in terms of the commentators. A big few and sigh of relief there, because luckily there were no casualties.
Absolutely. They got themselves into single file very nicely indeed, and nobody took an over-ambitious risk into turn 1 for that short-term gain.
Oh, and look at Joshua Chin then trying to eye a move on Bedros Magardichian. He's going to try here. No, he's all over the back though, and that's not what he needs. Chin obviously has that sort of starting pace. Maybe he could be lighter on fuel, so it's going to become apparent later on during the race, but he's all over the back of Magardichian, and that's not the view he wants. You'd expect him to be pulling away quite a bit by now. You see Roger Herman surrendering in place of Tom Cabral there. I think there may have been an incident a bit further back involving... no, I may have been wrong. I thought John Abbott may have.
As we just saw the 11 of Marcus W. Owens into the gravel, into the hurry downs. And that will put him all the way back into 19th from his 14th starting position. Yeah,
it's not where he wants to be. So one man to keep an eye on, I think, due to the interesting sort of pace lap strategy, could be Anthony Wood, to see how he manoeuvres back to the field. He has the pace to be P6. He's down in P18 now as he comes up to perhaps try and make a manoeuvre here. He's right on the back of the car in front. Of course, being Chris Beck, can he get the move done though? These four all line of stern as they go through this tight complex. It's going to be very interesting to see if there's a move as the field all goes through the hairpin. Luckily, no casualties yet. Woods goes up into hard contact and he goes flying off into the gravel trap. And take a look at who that was.
That's contact between Denton and between Chris Beck.
Denton's out of the race, and Anthony Woods given an end-of-line penalty for that one, it looks like.
That was before the start. I suspect he was given an end-of-line penalty just to avoid the black flags at the start for him pulling off into the gravel.
That could have been it. So, but I mean, that's very interesting. That's the first major contact we've seen then. As we go back through the field, it's looking still very nice at the moment in terms of Magardichian. Joshua Chin second, Bruce Perry still third, holding out Elrod, and Jeff Sportlicker coming to the mix. He's not too far behind the man in second place in the championship. Front five all breaking away pretty cleanly. You can see in the background of your screen there, Tom Cabral, Roger Haman and company. Here come the sort of warriors as they all fly down in towards the hairpin. And luckily still only one real major crash. Oh, Chris Beck is off. And it's in contact there with Marcus Owens, P17, car number 11. And Chris Beck's pulled over in the wall. Can you get that back to the pit lane? Oh, I'm not sure what... Yeah, he's back in the pit lane, so he will get that repaired. But just as you said, that's the only incident that happened. Oh, and Eric Yesters is off as well. He's got that going, but it's all happening now. Oh, it's a big moment there for what looked like Chris Llewellyn. Having Patrick Burrows, so as he gets back through the field then for
and
another
Owens has impacted the fence again in car 11, going down into the hairpin turn number 5, that is, just at the end of the Moraine sweep. Of course, was involved in that incident just seconds ago with Chris Beck, and that car has been heavily damaged.
Absolutely. Now look, Anthony Woods then, up the inside of Patrick Burrell, who just had an incident. Woods, textbook stuff there. Oh, he's gone off, and that's a very hard place to overtake. He slammed it in the wall, so bad race has just gone to worse for Anthony Woods. But it was a very hard place to overtake. It looked like he pulled it out of the textbook, but just simply carried too much speed, it looked like.
Yeah, it started as a textbook maneuver, but I'm afraid the professor might give that one an F on the exam.
Oh, and Bill Fields has spun as well, right by pit lane. Just took a bit too much curve. He's actually switched it back there and got it away from the field. Is he going to go in the pit lane? Or is he going to try and come back on? No, he's going to try and resume racing, so just a spin there, but it's not going to help the tyres. And just took a bit too much gravel on the end of the final corner.
Yep, very easy to slip wide at the final corner. Very difficult to get the line right, actually. And very silly spin rewards you if you get it wrong.
Absolutely. So John Abbott just been overtaken there by Fraser Marshall. Swimmingly defensive, John Abbott there. Didn't really have much to say in that manoeuvre. But back at the front, the gap between Chin and your leader Magardichian is just under a second, 0.949, as they go through Sector 1. So he is pulling away, but Josh is definitely keeping him company out there.
Yeah, we'd expected him to have about a 2.5 second lead at this point, so Joshua has to be very happy with his pace thus far.
Indeed he will be. Bruce Parry also doing a very good job in P3 at the moment, holding up Jason Elrod, who hasn't really put up much of a fight just yet, but he's definitely still there. Spotswood losing a bit of momentum now. Oh, we've got a car around now, it's 84. That's Chris Llewellyn. He's had a bit of an incident. Oh, I think that's Patrick Burrell again. Just behind you saw on a bit of a incident. Oh, is he going to slide that? No, he's got that going, but unfortunately, so cars starting to spin now. The tyres just aren't up to optimum temperatures yet, and they're catching some drivers out here. We saw this last event, that the tyres just aren't warming up, and they can just so easily slip away from you if you're not paying concentration.
Yeah, and double trouble this week at RoadAmerica. Very easy to slip off at any of 5 or 6 corners, and we're seeing that so far today.
Yeah, as Magardichian comes in towards the end of the lap, let's see what the gap is. I think he pulled up, a mental sort of gap there, as you see Joshua Chin take full drive into that final corner, running extremely wide to try and pick up maximum traction. As Bruce Parry and Elrod actually gaining a bit on Josh Chin, it looks like now. So if we could see a three-way battle for second this early on, definitely going to shape up the rest of the race. But the gap still remains up to 2.4 seconds now. As he said, the gap he would like is around 2 seconds. He's got that. So I think Josh may be starting to slip away now because he's just 2 seconds behind in front of Bruce Parry. Oh, Elrod's engine's gone. Is that Elrod's engine? That just
Elrod is carrying on.
That was a big bang. That was a big bang going into turn 1. Yeah, he's slowing down though. He's pulling over. Yeah, Elrod's engine just exploded. We saw that in qualifying. We said that could be brutal during the race. The man second place in the championship is out of the race. He's back in the pit lane, so he gets that fast tow. But absolutely crucial for the championship.
Absolutely disastrous, as you just mentioned. Bill Fields only 26 points behind him and having a decent day so far. Down in 12th, but we expect to see him move out through the field. Elrod just a bit over-eager on the downshifter there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in qualifying as well. We said that if he does that during the race, it will be catastrophic. An utter disaster. News that I think that could have been Magardichian, a bit of a moment there, big slide. And he managed to keep it going, but Josh Chin would have got an advantage through there. But it's so easily done, and those engines just so unforgiving as well. You have to really sort of nurse them. And unfortunately for Elrod, it's not the way he wants to try and continue this race. He's going to be way down the order. And left with a lot to do, but he's got around 50 minutes to do so. A lot of cars coming into pit road now then, it looks like, as we see Chris Llewellyn. Also in pit road, Anthony Woods is coming down the stretch, and you can just see in that view there a lot of cars currently in the pits as the field starts to separate out now.
Yep, 2.5 seconds is the lead, was the lead before Bedros' mistake. And another 2.4 seconds back to Bruce Berry. It's a further 6 seconds back to Jeff Spotswood, who will now inherit 4th position. As we have the 37 of Perrick Burrell around once again.
It's definitely been a troubled race today for Burrell. He's not had the greatest of start. We'll see how he can do during the final stint of the race. Obviously, still barely started here, not even halfway. And it's looking very ship-shape at the moment. No, 3 seconds the gap between Magardichian and Josh Chin. Also, just behind though, look at that, Elson and, I beg your pardon, Elrod, of course, in the pits now as he slips down the order. But Jeff Spotswood, because of that, moves up into P4. We said he was the open opportunist last race in the pre-event test, if you will, and he just took advantage of everyone else's mistakes, and he's looking like to carry on that form.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to get to the front of a sports car race. One of them is to be fast, and the other is just to keep the car on that fine black ribbon of asphalt and not make a mistake. Looks like Jeff Spotswood certainly is a master of the latter.
Absolutely. So a bit further down the field, and we've got 3 cars who are on the lead lap: Terry Denton, Chris Beck, and Marcus Owens. But I think that Jason Howard has got out. He is on the lead lap, and he's sitting in P13.
He's still in the pit lane, unfortunately, for Elrod. You hope the crew can repair the damage to that engine, but we'll have to see.
I think it's going to take a mighty long time, however, so the guys may just get a lap in front of him, and I think Magardichian, that'll be the most satisfying lap he ever does right now.
Yeah, he'll have to have a big grin on his face as he comes through the front stretch and sees the name of Jason Elrod appear in blue, that 1 lap down indicator.
Absolutely, and also knowing that the gap between Josh Chin just keeps extending at the moment. Magardichian really hitting the pace as it seems. Let's just take a look at his actual lap time, then let's just take a look into the race pace. So on lap 3 did a 1:57.975, so that was just 2 laps ago. Lap 4 did a 1:58.3, and apart from the opening lap he has not done a 1:59, so this man absolutely flying again. Up to the stretch. Let's see what that time is now as he comes across the line. This is for lap 5. That's a 1:58.5, so he just keeps improving. And let's see what the lap time of the man just behind him, Josh Chin, was. He did a 1:58.3, so he was actually 2 tenths faster that time. So Josh Chin taking the fight to him at the moment. He's the first man other than him into getting to the low 58. So Josh Chin definitely trying to give him a run for his money. It's not going to be easy today then for Magardichian.
No, especially if Joshua Chin has his way, but it's going to take a lot more laps like that to close that 3.5 second gap down to naught.
Absolutely, we do have a little bit of a battle forming here then between Marcus Owens and Patrick Burrell once again. These two, and they have some bad blood between them because of the incident earlier on. We'll have to see what happens. As you see, looks like Owens took a little bit of curb there as they come onto the home stretch. But these two are set in stone, just in P12 and 13 at the moment. So have to see if they can work their way through the field. But in the pit lane, Jason Elrod is out back on track, which is good news. Now this will be interesting. Can he carve his way through the field to a good position? We know he's got sort of top 5 pace. Can he get that and utilise it and try and push his way back through the field?
It'll certainly be exciting to watch him try, as he just about... Oh, and he's in the fence hard on off to driver's right, then back down to driver's left on the hurry downs.
Driver's got to be careful. Yellow flags waved in sector 2. He's got it back to the pits. And I think that could be the end of the race for Jason Elrod. And that's not what he wanted. He come back out in the pits. Maybe the damage wasn't totally repaired because he just speared off the racetrack.
I think the red mist had definitely descended fully for Mr. Elrod there. Very easy to be just a little bit too aggressive entering the hurry downs and catch just a bit of grass, and that's all it takes to put the car off.
Yeah, real unfortunately, you can see he's disconnected from the session, so your second place man in the championship may no longer be there today, as he could lose some vital positions. And so a good race for what has been for Magardichian has now just got even better. So with Elrod provisionally was 4th, then gone to the pit lane and a lap down and now totally out of the race. This is a dream come true for him at the moment.
Absolutely. Even if Bedros doesn't manage to win this race, which based on his pace we suspect he will, as long as he finishes this race, it's going to be a fantastic day for him.
Indeed it is. You see Tom Cabral now hard defending against Roger Haman. This is for P5. So the last top 5 position is a major top scoring point. You see Cabral just trying to utilise that inside line maybe, as Haman is sliding all over the back of him, just trying to find and duck and dive. As you said, overtaking is a really big task here at RoadAmerica. Catching is one thing, passing is another. You can see Cabral just having to use everything he's got in that defensive textbook to try and keep Haman at bay, because he's gaining in very quickly.
Looked like a little bit of gamesmanship at turn 1, maybe parked that car at the apex just a little bit to catch Haman out.
Okay, we're quickly going to go head to a commercial now, so when we rejoin we'll cover the rest of the race for you. Welcome you back live and to round 7 of the Real Sim Racing Endurance Series. I'm Liam Jenkins. With me, of course, to call all the action today is Sean Pavek. And Sean, quite an exciting opening into the race.
Absolutely. We've seen a bunch of drivers run into trouble, including our second in points, Jason Elrod, run into trouble twice, once with the engine and once with a tire in the grass. Currently, I count 6 retirements of the 19 starters. So certainly not the way they would have wanted to start the race.
No, absolutely. I mean, back to Magardichian, how well his race has gone. 4.6 seconds the gap now then. Back to Joshua Chin, but both these guys running extremely good races at the moment. No incidents whatsoever, except for a little slide earlier on from Magardichian. But there are a couple of little battles forming now. He's still got Cabral defending from Roger Haman, and also a battle for P9. John Abbott, of course, the organiser of this series, has got himself up there into P9, but going to have a bit of a hard time defending from Bill Fields, who you said very rightly so earlier on, Sean, that Bill's going to want to try and push hard through that field today.
Yep, as we see, actually, Abbott run very wide at Canada Corner. He's going to surrender the position to Bill Fields, so that one's gone without much of a fight, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately so, unless John Abbott can try and fight back going in towards the final section. He's gone a little bit wide to get the curb to try and get a bit of drive as they climb the hill. Slipstream's going to be key here as they go into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to have enough momentum.
Yeah, he just looks, he's far too far back to have any sort of a prayer at turn 1.
Unfortunately so, the battle a bit further up then, so P5, Roger Haman and Tom Cabral still raging on. Their gaps sort of stabilised now. Haman's been backwards and forwards trying to come on the rear end, but Cabral's doing a good job at defending at the moment.
Absolutely, you have to think Roger Haman is the faster car. Obviously he's caught Cabral, but Cabral very canny in defending, so you have maybe Haman looking to pit stops to get through?
Could be an opportunity. So as you see, Chris Llewellyn, P13 is well, going to be very shortly to see that red mist fly past him. of your race leader Magardichian. Let's see what he can do, because I think, well, he should move out the way. He should get a blue flag on his screen. The last thing you want to do is hold up a leader, especially with a man of this sort of pace.
Magardichian can afford to be a little bit patient, though. That gap to second place now up to 6.4 seconds, so plenty of time in hand for Bedros to be patient and make the safe move.
Absolutely. So Magardichian tries it on the stretch. It's going to be no. Well, he's not going to try and give it up, though, is he? That guy's almost has to try and let off the throttle there. Llewellyn does so in the end, but it looked like he was going to have a bit of a race into turn 1 there.
Almost a perfect move, really, from Llewellyn. I think he's lost about the minimum he could to still make that move happen on the straight.
Yeah, indeed he does, and that's also another car then between him and Joshua Chin. So things just keep improving for Magardichian. It's looking like a very sturdy result at the moment. Could be another win, so maximum points to extend his championship. Maybe maximum points that Jason Elrod pulls away from.
Jason Elrod will only have 18th place points today. Easy for me to say, following his earlier woes. So a very big championship day indeed for Bedros.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the guys behind Jason then. So around 26 points behind is Bill Fields. We saw him battling with John Abbott, who's currently 5th in the standings, and Roger Hamann sits in between those in P4. So all those guys looking to score major points today as well. It just makes everyone's day go from bad to worse, surely.
Certainly, it's going to be a wide open battle for second in the championship, and Bedros will be on cloud 9, I suspect.
Indeed, he will be. Let's take a look what happens then as we almost approach the halfway mark now. The battle between Hamann and Cabral is heating up a little bit. This Cabral ran a little bit wide coming under the Corvette bridge. You can see Hamann just trying to fight that equal bit of extra energy out the car, but it's so hard to do around Road America because there's just so many corners to try and nail. To get the perfect lap, you have to just literally put everything into the car in every corner, and we're doing that without running a little bit wide on some corners can be so hard.
Road America, one of the more unforgiving circuits even. Very, very slippy if you get offline, and even slippier if you go off track. By my count, no less than 4 or 5 corners where even the smallest of mistakes can end your race.
Indeed it will, and if you remember right, you know that's a key corner where you can go wide through. That is the corner where the move happened earlier on, where it all just started going a bit wrong there for Jason Elrod, I believe. As you see Hamann just losing a bit of time through there. That's what we were talking about with the gravel though, just taking that little bit extra. You see Tom Cabral just trying to drive even harder to defend. Now, it's very interesting. Now, obviously when you're attacking, you try and apply pressure, which causes you to overdrive, but you can also have the same effect while defending, because you want to try and push and pull away from the driver, and that also can force you to overdrive and make errors. So it's all about just trying to keep that mind in that optimum aspect.
Yep. Roger Hallman doing a very good job of getting in Cabral's mind at the moment, as we saw Cabral run wide at the apex of the final corner.
Oh, Marcus Owens in the wall, P15. That's not where he wants to be. He's got it going again, but that's not where he wanted to go. So I'm just going to quickly rewind this on my screen and take a look what happened. He's been there for quite a while, it seems. And what's happened here then? So he's just gone into the corner a bit too hot and lost the back end. The back rear tyres just went, and he skidded over the curb, and that's the end of that. Unfortunately for Owens, he's managed to keep it going though, so it's not the end of the world, but another bad race gone worse, it seems.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a checkered race for Marcus so far, so that's not the first problem he's had. Hopefully it'll be the last one he's had, though.
Absolutely, you know, you hate to see drivers who have really bad luck, and unfortunately he just seems to be one of them on this day. But John Abbott, P10 now, of course, after being overtaken, has actually lost a lot of time to the car in front now, so he's just driving, trying to keep it in his stride and find a rhythm, and that seems to be the best method at the moment, as Bill Fields trying to find a little bit extra and pulled away quite a big gap. So the gap between those two as they went across the line last time round was 3 seconds. Yeah,
there would have been no contest there, I suspect, had Abbott kept it on the track at Canada Corner. Maybe you would have just let Bill Fields go by, but yeah, Fields clearly in his own class from Abbott at the moment.
Oh, Owens is off again, as you said that. Still in P15, comes back onto the track. Does he dive into the pit lane? Yeah, must be some recurring damage there, because Owens' race has just gone from bad to worse, as we've said. And unfortunately for him, it's just going to drop him further down the order. Actually, I think he may be the last running driver.
Yeah, he is the last runner at the moment, so nothing to lose and everything to gain, but he's not in a position to gain at all at the moment.
So let's just quickly run through the order then. Magardichian leads, and he's currently 7.8 seconds in front of Joshua Chin. Bruce Perry, the man, is third in front of Jess Spotswood. We called him the ultimate opportunist earlier on. We'll see how much he kind of utilises that nickname. Tom Cabral is still defending his 5th position from Roger Hamann. Glenn Petterson, I haven't really spoke much about him today, but he's up to P7. Fraser Marshall currently sits in 8th in front of Bill Fields and John Abbott, who round out the top 10.
The remainder of your runners are Perrick Burrell in 11th, Eric Estes in 12th, Chris Llewellyn 1 lap down, Chris Beck, and Marcus Owens is still running in the pit lane effecting repairs. And in fact is just pulling out of the pits.
So hopefully that'll be the end to his worries then, but back on the track, there's still battle for P5 raging on. I can see this one, Sean, lasting for quite a long time. They seem very evenly paced out there, and that's exactly what you want to see for a kind of race battle.
Absolutely. Cabral and Homan very evenly matched indeed, as you said. I suspect this battle really will only be solved by who's better getting in and out of the pit lane.
Yeah, it could be a real factor today here at Road America. As you said, that pit speed limiter as well, with the length of the pit lane, really can either make or break your race. We always say about pit stops, if you get them right, they can make your race. You get them wrong, they can break your race. So it's all just down to getting that right. You have to slow the car down to avoid getting a penalty. You have to get it stopped in your grid box sometimes. So you have to try and get this right. But the man will try and avoid that issue completely if he can just get past Cabral before the stops. But it may just take that because Cabral is losing a bit of time on and off. We said that Hamann seems to just gain a bit, lose a bit, gain a bit, lose a bit. And that could become crucial because it's all going to come down to pit stops, as we said. We'll see what happens then as they come in towards the final part of the track. And the gap really has come down. So, of course, last time out, the gap between those two was around 0.4 seconds, or 0.8 seconds, as they come across the line this time. I fear for Cabral, so that gap may have been half a little bit, because as they come across the line, the gap between those is just less than a second. So it's really come down a little bit, but the gap that isn't decreasing is between Joshua Chin and race leader Bedros Magardichian. That is 9 seconds now.
Yeah, Bedros so far leaving his stamp of authority on this race, leaving absolutely no question who's the fastest at the moment.
Yeah, it really is a dominant performance then by Bedros at the moment. We'll see if he can maintain that momentum going into the second half of the race, as we almost hit the halfway mark now. Of course, it will run slightly over an hour due to the extremely long safety lap. So I'm sure we'll get an indication of when the second stint's going to come in. But as you said, strategy now is going to start paying off. We're going to see what sort of guys have gone for the long haul and what guys have maybe gone for a shorter first stint, which could explain why they're quicker or slower. Oh, and Chin off the track there, he's just gone a bit wide in P2. He's got that back going again, but maybe he's just trying to overdrive it a bit now. He's just so focused on trying to catch Magardichian that he's actually losing time.
Yeah, he's gotten away with it though. He ran well wide at the carousel, but didn't hit anything, slightly miraculously actually.
So luckily for him, it's not the end of the world, and as you said, he'll keep it going. See if he can resume that. Oh, he took a bit too much curve there, and that's a big slide into the final corner, and that's so easy to get wrong because just one wheel over that little tiny little black rumble strip and you can find yourself spearing off in all directions. So back through the field then, just look for some sort of action on the track. The battle between Hamann and Cabral just got even hotter, with Hamann all over the back now. So you come in towards the final stretch. How's Hamann got a little bit of a better run? He looks to go a bit deep into that final corner. But as they come up the final stretch, it's still looking like Cabral may have the upper hand in terms of defensive strategy. That Hamann needs to find something extra. Or maybe this is going to work out quite well for him, because he's going to know where Tom takes these sort of defensive lines into the corners. If he runs a bit wide in one, I think Hamann will just use that note for next lap, just stick it in the driver notepad, and definitely utilise it, because any opportunity is a good one.
It does sort of feel like the pendulum might be slightly swinging in the direction of Cabral, though. Perhaps Hamann trying to drive too aggressively early in the stint, and perhaps just burned those tires off a bit, where Cabral has been able to drive a little bit more controlled and a little bit more conservatively.
Yeah, we saw Hamann there just lose a little bit of time. That's what we were talking about. He's trying to gain a bit, loses a bit as he comes in towards the hairpin and begins to climb the hill and go under the Corvette bridge. It's looking like, yeah, it's just a little bit of time there. But it's all about consistency as we go into the second half of the race. Jeff Spotswood currently P4, trying to chase down the man in P3, who of course is none other than Bruce Perry. And Bruce has had another strong race today. He hasn't really seen much action. He's just get the car on the track and doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, we really haven't spoken much about him, which for this race has been a good thing. Hasn't really put a foot wrong yet, and has kept all 4 corners on it. So well done to Bruce Perry thus far.
And Josh Ching currently second, still trying to chase down Magardichian. We see the first car in the pits. Oh, a couple cars diving in now into the pit road. Let's see who they are. It's a little bit of a odd. So we'll try and find the car. So it's Eric Estes and Patrick Burrell in the pit lane then. So I believe they're the first scheduled stoppers of the afternoon. Let's see who gets out quick. Of course, those two are 11th and 12th. This is going to get heated then. These two guys are quite close to each other indeed. The gap between them, they're both a lap down, so it's all about who gets out first of the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on this. This is going to be a race of the pit crew. We said pit speeds are important here, and I'm sure that's going to show dividends of who's going to come out the pits first.
Looks like Patrick Burrell's going to bring the upper hand there by about 10 seconds over Eric Estes, make it closer to 5 or 6.
So, and look, well, they're feeding out just in front of Cabral, and companies Roger Hamann will safely pass Eric Estes. That's really hurt Estes, but it really helped Burrell as well. Now he doesn't have to worry. He lost a lot of time there just by getting in front of those cars on a lap in front of him, because Estes had to slow down and let them through. And look how much momentum he's got now. Estes is a good few seconds behind.
Yeah, and speaking of splitting a gap, Cabral gained about a second that last lap over Hamann, so that battle for 5th has now fallen away just a bit.
Yeah, could be towards pit stop time now for Roger Hamann. Yeah, as you said, look at that. That's absolutely huge. Now, it may not look like much on track, but in terms of a driver, that's huge. You see a car off there. That's Patrick Burrell, the man who's just in front of Estes at the moment. And that's actually going to help Estes a bit. He's gone a little bit wide again there. He's got to remember, though, he's got to let Hamann through as well at some point. So I think Hamann actually may have had a bit of a boost into it, and he pulls over to let Roger through. And now this has released Eric Estes all over the back of Burrell again. So 2 battles, constantly shaking form now, as you see Estes trying to find a little bit of a look in. This is of course for P11, so just outside the top 10 at the moment, but after a bit of a poor pit stop by Eric, he needs to try and dig deeper and get past him as soon as possible, because with Burrell making a couple mistakes today, he hasn't had it easy. So we'll see what he can do. Because we saw, you know, Burrell in the wall quite a few times.
Yeah, but Hook get a breath of relief here, as it looks like Eric Estes has had some sort of technical difficulty and has disconnected from the server. So, big breath of relief for Patrick Burrell.
And now he can just focus on driving the race in hand. So, unfortunate for Eric, just the things we're looking up for him, they seem to have gone a bit deeper. We should be able to rejoin the session, but we'll be a couple laps down, but a finish is a finish at the end of the day.
Yeah, with the way the attrition has looked so far, it would be well worth his time to rejoin the event.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to see what happens. Of course, we are into the second half of the race now, and of course, heading towards lap 16 or so. You see for Bedros to get ready to start lap 17, I believe. It's almost time to head to a commercial.
Hey dude, are you ready to rock and roll? If that's cool, then you need to do it over at HD Radio Network. HD Radio Network, 4 stations broadcasting 24/7 with everything from metal favorites to the 80s classic rock like legendary Leonard Skinner, Electric Light Orchestra, Foreigner, and bone-rattling, skull-crushing rock and roll on hard driving radio. And partnered with Nuff World Simulation Gaming, check out the HD Radio Network's Nuff Radio with Bear Factory, Stone Temple Pilots, Def Leppard, and a whole lot more. HDRadionetwork.com. Take your pick and rock your brains out, dude. Hey, JD here with ETV Live, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages, cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the commentator Liam Jenkins, joined by Sean Pavek for round 7 of the RSR Endurance Team Series. Now, you missed away a lot while you've been away. We've seen both leaders pitting. Tom Cabral pitted in before Roger Hamann. Roger, of course, in the pit lane at the moment in P5. The rest of the pit lane starting to form up nicely behind him as you see John Abbott fly through. This is going to be crucial then. Where is Tom Cabral? He stopped first. Was this the right decision? Hamann's still in the pit lane at the moment. He's leaving now. I've got a feeling this is going to be close. Where is Tom Cabral?
Cabral just now crossing start-finish, so...
There he is. Oh, man, got the jump. So Cabral maybe just had a little loss of time there on tyres, or maybe took a bit more fuel, or maybe those tyres are just slipping away from him more than we knew. So Hamann has actually got the jump on him, so P5 can, provisionally, goes to Hamann. I mean, we saw Cabral actually had to, while we were during the advert break, had to navigate round Chris Bell, I believe. So that may have actually harmed his time. You see Bell in the background there, so that may have harmed him. And unfortunately, Cabral's down to 9th now, so it's looking not very good now. So you see the rest of the field trying to scramble through after the pit stop windows officially got underway. But still, after a pit stop, Magardichian leads.
Not only does he lead, but he still has maintained that lead, so absolutely no chinks in the armor so far for Bedros.
Absolutely, so the rest of the field all flying through. Jeff Spotswood there, the man in P4. So it's looking also, you know, it's quite a high attrition rate this afternoon. So out of the 19 runners who started the race, we've only got 10 remaining on the lead lap. I believe 15 left overall. Could
Sounds
be
good.
a bit less.
Yeah, only 15 runners, and well, it's sad, but it is about the normal attrition rate for RoadAmerica. A very difficult circuit, as we mentioned earlier, and even the smallest of mistakes through about half of the circuit can end your race.
Absolutely. So we're taking a look now at Chris Beck, and he's currently P13, but he's got just behind him Eric Estes. We saw Eric had his hands full earlier on. As Josh Chain comes up to some traffic in the terms of Patrick Burrell, who moves to the inside to let Josh through. Try not to lose so much time. It's so easy to lose a lot of time when you're letting cars on the lead lap through, but good job there by Patrick. Josh goes through without any contact or anything, so keeping it clean at the moment. But this is going to be a big boost now for Josh Chin, because, you know, he hasn't really got Jason Howard or anyone to contend. He's in front of all the other championship contenders at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though he's 10 seconds back of the leader, which is a smaller gap than it was last lap, Josh is still having a fantastic race, and this will serve him very well indeed in the championship, where he currently sits.
I believe this could be his first race. So
I believe it is.
Definitely a way to make an impression here then at Real Sim Racing. You know, get in front of most of the title contenders. You're not expected to go out there and be an alien, but he's definitely going the right way about it at the moment, and I think he's going to be a real major factor as we go in towards the second half of the season. Oh, and as Jeff spots off, we called him the ultimate opportunist. I think that may have struck him there. That's just over the callback bridge into the hairpin. What's happened? Has he just taken too much curb? Yeah, back wheel steps away from him, and unfortunately into the grass. He keeps it going, but a little moment there for Jeff. Has only put a foot wrong all day, but that seems to have been the first mistake.
Yeah, the first mistake for him, but he's gotten away with it. No contact with the fence on driver's left. And he had about a 10-second lead over 5th place John Abbott, so he should even retain his position, lucky him.
But the question is, how much of a momentum shift is this going to give Roger Hamann at the moment? You can see Roger in the background coming up to him, and Tom Cabral just behind. We could see a three-way battle if things go our way in terms of wanting a good race for P5, because I believe John Abbott has pitted in, which has given Roger Hamann back P6 provisionally, as he now tries to catch Jeff Spotswood, who, just as you saw, having off a bit earlier. So we'll see if Hamann can use all his momentum and shift it forward. You can see there Hamann's going to get a bit worried now. We saw, now this is quite interesting on Hamann's part. He's not an aggressive dive for a move kind of driver. He was tucked away behind Tom Cabral. for a good, 10, 15 laps or so. So if he can hold that against Roger Hamann and really start to put the pressure on, is he going to start to buckle under pressure?
We have to think Spotswood would respect Hamann as a driver that doesn't take risks, so Spotswood maybe would be comfortable not defending as much. And that does affect how you drive, knowing the driver behind you.
Absolutely, so we'll have to see how all this plays out, but right now it's looking like Hamann actually has the sort of momentum at the moment. We'll have to see what happens, of course, in the next couple of laps or so. So we're almost at the lap 20 marks then. So 20 laps on Road America going clean. It's looking pretty good for Roger Hamann, as you can see, but it dust sprinkled up onto his windscreen as I think maybe a little cheeky Jeff Spotswood went a bit wide there, but again, nothing too dividend. So fully all through the reshuffled order at the moment, and it's all gone pretty crazy, but in terms of the top three, they've remained the same. Magardichian from Chin and Perry, Spotswood 4th, Hamann 5th, Cabral 6th, and Glenn Petterson once again. We still haven't so much about him today, but he's done a good job up there in P7 at the moment.
Yep, still driving a clean race, 3.5 seconds over Fraser Marshall in 8th, so a good place for Glenn Peterson to be.
Indeed it is, and if you also take a look at the other two title contenders, Bill Fields and John Abbott, the two guys who, other than Bedros and Jason Elder in the top 5, are actually currently P9 and 10, so they're back on the lead lap. But the thing is though, it's going to be a bit interesting for them, because if those two are right next to each other, I'm sure we're going to see some a different side to these drivers if the opportunity's there.
And certainly only 5 seconds behind them at the moment, and that can all change when Bedros starts overlapping them, as he should do in the next, shall we say, 6 or 7 laps.
Absolutely, so it's still looking like it's going to be a thrilling climax to the race though, as if Bedros can keep this going, I think he'll have a fully clean race. As you see Petterson there, P7, has got him tucked away behind Chris Beck at the moment, and he takes a bit wide as Beck moves out of the way to let him through. Beck dives into the pit lane actually, so that was an easier job than predicted for Glenn Petterson. See Fraser Marshall just behind as well, so those two could get involved in a nifty battle very shortly. So all these battles after the pit stop window, of course, pit stops really can sort of harm your race, or actually for us commentators kind of give us a bit more to talk about, because now you've got, of course, Hamann who's found himself in a sandwich. You've got Spotswood just in front in 4th, Cabral tucked away around the same distance away in P6. So Hamann, if he makes a mistake, he's going to have Cabral quite happily make a opportunity on him. Or if perhaps Spotswood makes a mistake, then Hamann's going to quite happily move up to 4th.
Absolutely fantastic battle, as you mentioned, shaping up for 4th and for 7th.
There's still plenty to look forward to here then at Road America. Chris Beck leaves the pit lane, P13, so another stop for him. John Abbott still P9, as you can see him, Chris Llewellyn just in front of him. But there's an engine gone. I think that may have been Llewellyn's. That's the second engine of the day then. There's a car off also on the grass who's pulled away, so we'll just see what that was provisionally. That's Marcus Owens. Marcus Owens out then. So Marcus Owens in the wall, and so that wasn't Llewellyn's engine then perhaps.
No, Llewellyn very definitely pulled off at the side after the Moraine sweep, so drama's developing for the 84 of Chris Llewellyn, and indeed for the 11 of Marcus Owens, who it seems has retired.
Yeah, Marcus really had a kind of troubled evening, unfortunately. We've seen him in plenty of incidents on and off the track. So it just really hasn't been his day, but that was 2 incidents in one corner there, so that corner may have a bit of a curse on these drivers, but that's the second engine, I think, to go today. Llewellyn will get a free reset, because I think that's his first, but I think these engines really, the drivers, just like the tyres earlier on, the drivers just haven't really kind of estimated as how, much energy that these engines really can pump out. They can overheat so quickly if you're not careful, and it's the guys like Cabral who drive quite conservatively that are going to get the biggest gain from this, because they're not pushing the engines, and therefore they won't get the overheating, as Bill Fields has a bit of a slide in P9 through the final corner, but the engines really are sort of key here today.
Yeah, as you said, the second one to expire. The first, of course, was Jason Elrod's, which consumed his first free reset, as we'll call it. And not only are the engines fickle with temperature, they're also fickle with downshifting. So if you get just a little bit too eager to downshift the car, overdrive a corner just a little bit and get yourself into a panic, you can very easily fry the engine.
Actually, you got P7 off the track then. That's number 56, and that's not the way that wanted to happen there. So I believe that's Glenn Henderson. We just said we haven't spoken much about him. He's got it going, but not going to help him at all. Is he? Oh, he actually may have been. Well, he may lose time to Fraser Marshall, who I believe would have actually gone through there.
Yeah, Fraser Marshall now 3 or 4 seconds up the road from Glenn, so flip 7th and 8th. Marshall now in P7, Peterson down to P8 with his first mistake of the day.
Yeah, so the attrition rate is starting to show now. The track will be at optimum temperatures, but these tyres perhaps may not be yet. Of course, some of these drivers pitted later than others. And oh, number 10 in the wall. P10, John Abbott. That's John Abbott, another title contender. Oh my god, all these contenders now just dropping like flies it seems. He's got it going again, but I believe there could be some permanent damage. Abbott's just crawling round Road America now, and if it's any more painful, look at he's almost crab walking into the corners, so definitely it looks like some left side damage there for John, but that's another one. So we've seen Jason Elrod take a big dip today. Bill Fields currently a bit lower than he would like, but it's really looking good for guys like Josh Kane and Bruce Perry, or Josh Chin, I beg your pardon. So these guys are going to really sort of gain from this and establish themselves as title contenders. This is exactly what we were talking about before the race began. It's a chance now for these guys in the midfield to make an impression and establish themselves as a title contender. And when the title contender is dropping out, it's definitely helping them.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for John Abbott, that car now very heavily deranged at the rear end. It seemed Peterson got away with his mistake, but yeah, absolutely. With sort of the top 5 in lockstep for the championship, Bedros really the only one distinguishing himself, with Abbott and Elrod doing whatever the opposite of distinguishing themselves is.
Absolutely. So the question is, can Abbott limp back to pit lane and sort of get that car repaired? He will have a fast tow. Of course, he hasn't used one today, so we'll get a free repair. But nonetheless, it's not going to help his race at all as he comes in towards the final corner. You can see Chris Bell in the background just trying to navigate his way through, but unfortunately for John Abbott, it's just not been his day today.
No, not had the pace he was hoping for, not had the pace that's representative of his championship position, and this latest incident will just add to the nightmare that was Road America for John Abbott.
Yeah, so not long after. You're looking at around 15 minutes left then, I'd say, in terms of the race, including that extra lap, which was, of course, 5 minutes or so is during the safety car. But, I mean, it's looking, as you see Abbott pull into the pit lane, like Josh Chin, you've got to say to him, yeah, okay, he's had a couple of off-tracks, but for his first race, his debut race in this championship, yeah, he's coming a little bit late, but what a way to make a mark, to come second place if he can finish there. That's astounding.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to make a first start and a first impression. And Chin has been, if anything, respectful through lap traffic as well, so not only is he quick, he'll be on the good side of all the drivers here.
That's what you want. You don't want to make any enemies here because they really can turn bad. You can see that's a bit of battle there. Actually, Bill Fields, who said he wanted to make his way through the field, if you pardon the pun, who's actually trying to catch the car in front. This could be interesting, and let's see if he can navigate to 8th position. With all the other contenders dropping out, I think Fields will be aware that John Abbott is currently in the pit lane, which is going to give him some motivation perhaps, because every position now, all those, even if it's just a 1 point gain, that 1 point could really be vital in the end of the season.
Absolutely. Now he's closing in, now within just a second and a half of the 56 of Glenn Peterson in 8th. Peterson will be a little bit subdued after his off-track excursion, so look for Fields to really try to claw that gap down and go through.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the current point standings then, just to remind you of, you know, how things have shaped out. So Magardichian still leads on 190. He was 3 points clear before this race of Elrod, but that's sure to extend by a heck of a lot after Elrod's retirement. Bill Fields is the man in P3 in the championship. He's currently chasing down number 56 car for P8 in the race. Roger Hamann, who's P4th, and John Abbott P5, Tom Cabral 6th, Jeff Spotswood 7th, Bruce Perry 8th. So those guys we said in the midfield could make a statement. It's looking like that way we said earlier, but it really is going to shape up to be a crucial end to the championship with a lot of guys. I mean, that midfield is going to be extremely close.
If anything, though, this has been a statement race for Bedros Magardichian. Now 14 seconds clear of Joshua Chin at the front of this field. He had a 3-point lead, as you mentioned, entering the race. That's going to be a very big lead, almost insurmountable, you'd have to think, at this point in the season, if he continues the way he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, after this, we head to Watkins Glen. That'll be race 8. So you won't want to miss that one. That will be on the 26th of August, so almost a month's time. and you can catch that live still on ETV. But we still have currently the battle for ninth still then between Bill Fields trying to find his way past the number 56. He's got the inside. Oh, he's got that done. Textbook stuff. He's got a bit wide though. Petson slips back underneath.
He's got very wide indeed into the gravel.
Yeah, Bill Fields into the gravel, apologising over the chat. But I don't think there was any contact, but he just went for the move, and that's exactly what you were saying earlier, Sean. That this track is so hard to overtake, even the corners that, you know, are quite simple to overtake on. It's so easy to put a foot wrong.
Yeah, just getting off of the line seemed to put Bill Fields out because Peterson was not fighting back at all going into Canada corner.
Yeah, it's not what he wanted. It looks obviously like Bill Fields has some momentum, but if he, you know, keeps doing that, I mean, with not long left in the session, it may have to be there he stays in P9, but still he's going to be probably one of the highest scoring title contenders today, of course, just in front of him, Spotswood and Haman. Both looking for big gains. Haman just outside the top 5 in the championship, and he's currently 5th at the moment behind Spotswood, so this is still interesting. That battle still, of course, raging on. He's still a couple of seconds away to be fair to him. Well, in front of him, beg your pardon, so Spotswood is 4th, Haman 5th, the gap between those two, so 3 seconds, so it's not the end of the world, but if Spotswood makes a mistake, that's going to get very heated. Both those guys very close to each other in the championship.
Absolutely, and as those gaps have spread out for just a little bit, let's take one final break to set up the run to the checkers.
You join us back then for the final 9 minutes of this session. Me being Liam Jenkins and my co-commentator Sean Pavek at Road America today for the Real Sim Racing Endurance Series. He's been purely dominated by Bedros Magardichian at the moment. He's 18 seconds clear of the rookie Joshua Chin, Bruce Perry 3rd and Jeff Spotswood 4th. But I mean, what a race to call, Bruce. You know, round 7 in the championship, Sean, it's been absolutely great so far.
A very exciting start to the race as we weeded out some of the drivers, but towards the end of this we've seen some exciting battles shaping up, especially for 4th and for 7th, and then of course there was the Peterson and Fields battle that we were robbed of.
Yeah, as you say, you know, with 8 minutes or so left in the session, it's going to be interesting to see if Pedersen can just try and hold off, because I think Bill Fields is starting to gain again, but as long as he doesn't do what he did last time, he may be able to get past. He's evidently faster, but he's going to need to try and keep that pressure up. You can see Haman actually gaining quite a lot on Spotswood now. We've seen this battle shaping up, but Spotswood seems to have had the upper hand earlier on, but now it's looking like Haman may just have something left in the tank to try and get that P4.
It's been about a second a lap for each of the last 2 laps for Haman as they see
Oh, he's off.
10 of John Abbott, and
Spotswood's in the wall, number 83. He's got it back on, but that's crucial. We were saying that the momentum may have shifted to Roger Hamann, and now it's completely gone because Spotswood just took it a bit too deep, maybe under defensive pressure, and all just missed the wall. But whether there's damage or no, he's off into the gravel again, and it's looking from bad to worse. The Spotswood we call him the ultimate opportunist, and that's two incidents today we've seen him off track. And will that be a required pit stop, because that could drop him further down the order? Another championship contender could be dropped out of a good position today.
Yeah, with just 8 minutes remaining, though, you have to think he'll try to limp it home and not spend the time in the pit lane to repair it. But certainly more drama is developing in that car from the impact with the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the way he wanted to cross the checkered flag at the end of the race. But for now, I think it's going to be, you can see Abbott going a little bit wide there, Hamann coming up to him to try and lap him. But John Abbott still, despite that pit stop earlier on, still currently P10, so a top 10 finish. John Abbott, so still quite respectable. Would that be more though? If Spotswood decides to pit in, that could be a bit crucial. Abbott currently the last man, or the first man on the lap down list, if you will. So, I mean, Bill Fields as well, I beg your pardon, isn't doing that bad a job. Still there in P9, in front of John Abbott. Oh, he's spun it just enough, said that, he's on the grass. The number 5 car's got it going, but a little bit of a lock up there, so coming into this end of the stuff, I think we're going to see a higher attrition rate, because those tyres now, coming into the end of those stint, are going to be so degrading now, the rubber flying off them, and those degraded tyres just won't have any grip in them.
No, I think a few of our runners, mainly Fields and Spotswood, are discovering that the hard way, as Fields is now looking very deranged at the back end, and he will head to the pit lane.
Yeah, you can see Hamann out coming up towards John Abbott, the man in P10 at the moment. So hopefully Abbott should move out of the way. Abbott, of course, the organiser of the league, so he should really move out of the way soon enough. But, you know, being a lap car is so hard to find an opportunity to move out of the way, because this circuit is so narrow that you need to, I mean, Abbott's done a good job there of finding a spot, but it's so hard to actually get it right.
Absolutely, and if you're the slightest bit unpredictable with that lead lap car behind you, that can lead to disaster for both cars.
We saw Joshua Chin weaving across the start-finish straight, not too sure. I think maybe he thinks he's finished. There is another lap to go though. So, whether that was trying to get heat in the tyres, whether he thought the race was over, is yet to be seen. But that's a very excited for the end of the race, Joshua Chin. You can see him almost go over a bit of the grass there, so maybe he's realised now, but he's still weaving across the track here.
Some drama is developing in that car, certainly. Not quite sure what's going on. Maybe a bit of contact we didn't see, and just testing the car to see if it still responds as he expects it.
I mean, we have actually passed the 1 hour mark, but due to that pace up, it did take a huge chunk of time, so that does get added on to the end. So you're looking at around a 1 minute, 1 hour, beg your pardon, 1 hour 5 minutes for an estimated session time. But it's, unfortunately, it's not looking good at the moment, because Chin is, well, to be fair, he wasn't, you know, that far. Well, he's 20 seconds away from Magardichian. He's 20 seconds clear of Bruce Perry. He's got a right to weave across the track. He's not in jeopardy of losing anything, provided he doesn't make a mistake. So.
Yep, but as those tires degrade and get greasy, this is the easiest time for it to all go wrong for Chin, and any unneeded move at this point is folly.
Very good point. I mean, we hate to see this now. He's literally been almost flawless, despite a couple of errors. So we'd hate to see it drop off now. I mean, that would be utter, I would sum up the race really. Just the main championship contenders really have fallen away. I think this track has caught a lot of people by surprise. Those included Jason Arrow. We expected to see a lot more from him today, currently second in the championship, but that will change after this race, of course.
Yep, and as we draw to a close, Bedros Magardichian has just started his penultimate lap, so 2 more laps left in this race.
Yep, so it's going to be hopefully a thrilling climax. I think we don't really have any major battles on the track at the moment. But let's just take a quick look through the field. We've got a little bit of one there. Tom Cabral's currently P5, having passed John Abbott in P10. Bruce Perry's still third. I mean, you know, we've seen a lot of order changes today, all up and down the field, but Bruce Perry's the one man who has not budged. And consistently there in P3. I think he's deserved that one, to be honest.
Real briefly, if you're looking to get interested in this, but that office chair just ain't doing it for you, pick up the VRC Mark II Virtual Racing Seat. It is a simulation racing cockpit designed by championship race car driver Bob Earl. It includes a fully adjustable racing seat frame, so you won't get those nasty cramps. Additional monitor stands and shifter mounts for you 3 monitor wackos out there are available. It's only $349 plus shipping. Check it out at BobEarlRacing.com.
Indeed. Also, if you're looking to get into sim racing but don't really hear enough news across sort of YouTube community, head over to www.youtube.com/greenflagpodcast. There will be a review up of this race next Friday, so go check that out as well. So, but I think that just concludes everything. You see John Abbott just getting a bit of dust in his face there from Tom Cabral.
This race has been presented by and will be presented by for the next 2 minutes by iLeagueRace.com. It is a multi-site content management system designed expressly for leagues. With plans starting at $2.99 a month or $29.99 a year, it is the fantastic choice and the affordable choice for leagues looking to really manage and take the next step. iLeagueRace.com, and this is also presented by RaceDepartment.com. If you're looking to find a league, RaceDepartment.com will find you a league for R Factor, R Factor 2, R Factor, as you said, R Factor, Game Stock Car, iRacing, and much more.
As you head on to the final lap then, we're midway through it. Bedros Magardichian got the fastest time in qualifying. Didn't even need to practice for this event in the actual official session. And now we'll come around into this final sector for the final time. He's driven 30 perfect laps almost, so he's had one moment that we've seen, but seemingly unmatched, 20 seconds clear to the nearest competitor. The nearest championship competitor, Jason Elrod, non-existent in this race anymore, so we'll lose a lot of points, but another maximum points finish for Magardichian it's going to be.
Yep, Joshua Chin in his debut start in this series has looked very good in P2, but 20 seconds back from Magardichian. He has to be happy with that second step on the podium, but I still think he would have liked to be on the top step.
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, Reese has done a good job today, though, to handle P3. But nonetheless, it's a very good job. He would have wanted more. That's a natural thing of a racing driver. What you want, but the main title contender in that top 5, he's going to be extremely happy with that, knowing that Elrod is out of the race. John Abbott is down to P9. Bill Fields is P13. So. And Bedros Magardichian comes on the final straight for the 30th time then, and he wins round 7 of the Real Sim Racing Endurance Series at RoadAmerica, and he's extended his championship lead. It has been a dream weekend for Bedros Magardichian. Into P2 then, and the man who surprised us all, who isn't an official championship contender, but he is now, because he just crossed the line in P2 in his first ever Real Sim Racing Endurance Series race. But it's easy to say that he's 15 seconds behind Magardichian, but he's 30 seconds clear of a championship contender in Bruce Perry. So that's a thrilling result there for Josh Chin, and he's surely going to be ecstatic about that one.
Yep, he has to be. As you mentioned, 30 seconds clear of Bruce Perry, who's just now crossing the start-finish line to secure his 3rd place.
Roger Hammam will be the man in P4 after a very good race after chasing down Tom Cabral for the majority of it, but he's had a very good race today, Roger Hammam. Got himself involved in some good battles, kept the car on the track, and brought home a very good 4th position.
Yep, was very patient while he was chasing down Tom Cabral and made his move during the pit stop exchange, and came out from being 2 seconds behind Cabral to being 5 or 6 seconds clear of Cabral, who will bring the car home in 5th. So put that Hammam 4th and Cabral 5th.
Yeah, I mean, Cabral almost caught him towards the end as well. That gap was thinning down slightly. He was chipping away at that rock, but it just wasn't enough in the end to make a statue out of it. But into P6, Jeff Spotswood crossed the line, and that's a really good result for him. He had a couple of bad moments, though, but Spotswood nonetheless picks up P6. That'll be Fraser Marshall. Haven't really spoke much about him. He sort of capitalised on a lot of opportunities from other drivers in P7 and P8, Glenn Peterson.
Yep, Peterson is your last lead lap finisher. The remainder of your finishers, John Abbott 1 lap down in 9th, Perrick Burrell, Chris Beck was 2 laps down in 11th, Eric Estes in 12th after his disconnection issues. Bill Fields is your final finisher in 13th. The remainder of your retirees are Chris Llewellyn 14th, Marcus Owens 15th, Dwayne Fowler 16th, Anthony Woods 17th, Jason Elrod, your second place in the championship, coming in 18th, 26 laps down, and Terry Denton. So it's been a fantastic and exciting race, one with Bedros Magardichian's signature on it, I suspect, for this 1 hour of Road America, Liam.
Absolutely, an absolute dream weekend. Not only did he get the pole position, not only did he get the victory, his nearest competitor did not finish the race. So what can this hold as we go into the next round of course on the 28th of August at Watkins Glen? So from me, Liam Jenkins, and my co-commentator Sean Pavek, we thank all of the sponsors, we thank all of the viewers for watching this one. I think, you know, this actual ETV wouldn't be here without the viewers. You guys make it what it is. So thank you very much indeed for watching this broadcast, and I'm sure we'll see you next round for round 8 of the Real Sim Racing Endurance Series.
Thank you.